before my lap band surgery just over 2 years ago, when I weighed 133 kilos and had a BMI of about 49, which was at the top of the morbidly obese range. I've lost about 55 kilos, or nearly 90% of what my excess was, which means that I'm now about BMI of about 27, 28, fluctuating. The lap band's been my second chance, and just a chance to get out of the obesity trap that I was in. I think it was the right time for me. My head was in the right place. I'd had a lifetime of obesity since I was a baby. It runs in the family. And after putting up with all the taunts and teasing of childhood, I basically yo-yo dieted my way through my 20s on various diets and programs and various degrees of success. But after reaching my 30s and having 3 children, I put it all back on and a lot more. So by the time I got to 45, I think it was, when I had my surgery, I'd backed myself into a corner and I was just trapped by this combination of factors like my lifestyle, my genetics, my guilt and frustration at not being able to lose weight, and comfort eating, lots of bad habits, but comfort eating was probably the worst one. And one of my concerns about having the surgery was whether I could give up food as a comfort and a friend. But it's actually turned out to be more of a release than anything. And the sense of release brings with it just so much empowerment, and it spreads into so many other areas of life. And a morbidly obese person's day is full of challenges. And I really like Mikey Robbins' way of putting it. Before he had his lap band, he talks about how he used to develop all these little strategies just to get through the day. And he says that they might have just been little things, but they all built up and up over time just to make his life more annoying. And yeah, I got by on strategies most days, but life was really annoying, and it was really uncomfortable and often really embarrassing. And I was avoiding going out into situations where I thought that I'd be embarrassed because someone would make a comment which would just send me back into hiding and probably more comfort eating. And then I was starting to avoid going out into situations when I thought that I'd be an embarrassment to someone that I was with, which was starting to happen a bit with friends and family. And I was just wanting to apologise for being the way I was and wishing I could just disappear and become invisible. But I can remember helping out in my son's classroom one time, and a little boy came up to me while I was squashed into one of the little chairs in the room, and he said, "How much do you weigh?" And after I'd told him off his head, he then went to my son a bit later and said, "Why's your mum so fat?" And my son didn't know what to say, of course, but he said to me later, "Oh, that kid's rude to everyone, Mum, but I really wanted to punch him for you." And I gave up helping in the classrooms just after that, which was a shame because I was a nice person and I had a lot to offer, but I was just wasting it really because of my compulsion to eat, I think. But I knew I had to do something, if not for my own sake, then at least for my children's sake. And it wasn't just the emotional stuff. Meanwhile, physically, things were falling apart. I was being referred off to different specialists and podiatrists because I was having a lot of trouble walking. My feet were hurting. And they'd all growl at me and say, "What are you going to do about your weight?" A couple of them recommended the lap band, and I'd say, "Oh, no, I'm right, thanks. I know I can do this." And off I went with all good intentions and joined Weight Watchers for the 23rd time, I think it was at last count. And then I tried tablets like Xenical, patches when they came out, and on it went. And I just got to the point where I'd run out of excuses and strategies and new things to try, and I was really scared that I was running out of time to do something about it. And I was very brave and finally fronted up to Meryl and Christine and Patrick Moore and said, "I can't do this anymore." And they didn't growl at me, and they just told it like it is. And I think the things that have been important to me in terms of the healthcare have been obviously getting me through the surgery safely, but also the advice and encouragement along the way, and achievable goals that are realistic, and just lots of encouragement. It's important to keep the big picture in mind, but the little steps are what get you there. I can eat anything pretty much. I have to be very careful with bread, and it often swells up in the upper part of the stomach. And even if I've eaten what I think is the right amount, it can still swell up and give me problems. So seeded bread or brown bread are better. And some fruits can be a problem because they have to be peeled, and they also tend to irritate the stoma as they go through. Some of the citrus fruits do that, and pears. But otherwise I can pretty much eat anything. So I feel very lucky like that, because I do hear some horror stories. Learning to drink separately to meals is difficult, and I'm glad I don't like spicy food, because that would be really hard to be sitting there with a hot mouth and you couldn't even have a drink. And something that slips right through today might not even touch the sides, but tomorrow it could give me a problem. So it can be a bit temperamental too. But I'll take all those issues and put up with them 10,000 times, because I know I'm going to keep getting this right. If that's what it takes, I'll do what it takes, because the tendency for me to put on weight, that ain't going away. And I'll be dealing with it for the rest of my life, till the day I die, I think. It's been a long haul, just a day at a time, but the lap band's been a gift for me, and I'm just so glad I have it. I'm just so grateful to the team that gave it to me and got me through it. And I know it's going to be sitting there doing its thing and just looking after me. Thank you.